Jake Morrison wiped the sweat from his face as he guided his small cargo ship into Nexus Station. The old freighter called Lucky Strike made strange noises as it moved through space. Jake had been flying alone for 2 years now, carrying goods, from one planet to another. It was not easy work, but it paid enough to keep him fed. Nexus Station was huge. Ships from all over the galaxy came here to trade. Jake had never seen so many different types of aliens in one place. There were tall blue people with 4 arms, small green creatures with big eyes, and many others he could not name. 2 years ago, humans had joined something called the Galactic Trade Consortium. This meant humans could now travel to alien worlds and do business with other species. Jake docked his ship and walked through the station. Everything was clean and bright. The walls were made of some kind of metal that sparkled in the light. Signs in many different languages hung from the ceiling. Jake could only read the human ones, but his universal translator helped with the rest. He needed to find a place to eat and maybe have a drink. Flying alone in space for weeks made a person lonely. Jake found a bar called the Stardust Cantina. Music played softly inside, and the air smelled like flowers mixed with something he could not identify. Many different aliens sat at tables, talking and laughing. Jake walked to the bar and sat down. The bartender was a purple alien with 6 arms. It could make drinks very fast. "What do you want to drink, human?" the bartender asked in perfect English. "Something strong," Jake said. "It has been a long trip." The bartender mixed something green and blue in a glass. Jake took a sip. It tasted good and made him feel warm inside. "You are new here," said a voice next to him. Jake turned and saw a woman with silver hair and purple eyes. Her ears were pointed, like in the old stories about elves. She was beautiful in a way that made Jake forget how to speak for a moment. "I am Lyra," she said with a smile. "Lyra Night Whisper. You look like you need a friend." "Jake Morrison," he said, finding his voice again. "And yes, I could use a friend. I have been flying alone for a long time." Lyra wore dark clothes that looked expensive. She had a small bag with her that she kept close. Jake noticed she kept looking around the bar like she was watching for someone. "What kind of work do you do?" Jake asked. "I research old things," Lyra said. "Ancient artifacts from dead civilizations. Very interesting work, but sometimes dangerous." Jake nodded. He did not know much about ancient artifacts, but it sounded exciting. Much more exciting than moving boxes from one planet to another. "What? About you?" Lyra asked. "Cargo pilot," Jake said. "I take things where they need to go. Not very exciting, but it pays the bills." Lyra laughed. It was a nice sound. "Do not say that. Pilots see the whole galaxy. That is very exciting." As they talked, Jake noticed another woman watching them from across the bar. She had blue skin and strange markings on her face that looked like tattoos. Her hair was long and black, and she wore simple clothes like she was trying not to stand out. But her eyes were bright and intelligent, and she moved like someone important. The blue woman walked over to them. Up close, Jake could see that her tattoos were very detailed and beautiful. They seemed to glow slightly in the bar's light. "Excuse me?" she said to Jake. "Are you a cargo pilot?" "Yes," Jake said. "Why do you ask?" "I am Zara," she said. "I am very interested in human culture. I have never met a real human pilot before." Jake felt his face get hot. 2 beautiful alien women were talking to him. This never happened back on Earth. "Would you like to sit with us?" Jake asked. Zara sat down and ordered a drink. Jake noticed that the bartender treated her with extra respect, like she was someone important. But Zara acted like a normal person. "I have heard that humans are very brave," Zara said. "Is this true?" "I do not know," Jake said. "I just do my job and try not to get into trouble." Lyra laughed again. "All the best pilots get into trouble sometimes." The 3 of them talked for an hour. Jake told them about Earth and what it was like to grow up there. Zara asked many questions about human food and music and movies. Lyra shared stories about the strange places she had visited looking for old artifacts. Jake felt happier than he had in months. These women were smart and funny, and they seemed to actually like talking to him. "Jake," Zara said suddenly, Would you like to have dinner with me tomorrow night? I would love to learn more about human culture. Jake almost choked on his drink. You want to have dinner? With me? Yes, Zara said, smiling. If you would like to? I would love to, Jake said quickly. Where should we meet? There is a nice restaurant called Cosmic Convergence on level 5, Zara said. Tomorrow at 8? Yes, Jake said. I will be there. Zara finished her drink and stood up. I must go now. I will see you tomorrow, Jake Morrison. She walked away, and Jake watched her go. He felt like he was dreaming. You are very lucky, Lyra said. Zara is special. What do you mean? Jake asked. Lyra smiled mysteriously. You will find out. After Lyra left, Jake sat alone at the bar for a while. He could not believe his luck. He had come to Nexus Station to deliver cargo and pick up his next job. Instead, he had met 2 amazing women, and one of them wanted to have dinner with him. Jake finished his drink and walked back to his ship. Tomorrow night could not come fast enough. He had no idea that Zara was actually a princess, or that Lyra had hidden something very valuable and very illegal on his ship while he was not looking. Sometimes ignorance was the only thing that let a person sleep well at night. Jake lay down in his small bed on the Lucky Strike and smiled. Tomorrow was going to be a great day. He had no way of knowing that by tomorrow night he would be running for his life across 3 star systems. But, for now, he was just a happy human pilot who had a date with a beautiful alien woman, and that was enough. Jake stood in front of the mirror in his small ship bathroom. He had washed his best shirt 3 times and shaved twice. His hands shook a little as he tried to fix his hair. He had been on dates before, but never with an alien princess. Of course, he did not know Zara was a princess yet. The restaurant Cosmic Convergence was on level 5 of the station. Jake had looked it up and learned it was very expensive. He checked his credit account and winced. This dinner would cost him a week's pay, but it would be worth it. Jake arrived at the restaurant 15 minutes early. The place was much fancier than anywhere he had ever eaten. The walls were made of something that looked like crystal, and soft music played from hidden speakers. Other customers wore expensive clothes and spoke in quiet voices. Jake looked down at his shirt and pants. They were clean, but they were the clothes of a working man. He felt out of place, but it was too late to leave now. At exactly 8 o'clock, Zara arrived. Jake's mouth fell open. She wore a long dress that seemed to be made of liquid starlight. Her blue skin glowed softly, and her face markings looked even more beautiful than before. Every person in the restaurant turned to look at her. Hello, Jake, she said, smiling. You look very nice. Jake felt his face turn red. Thank you. You look amazing. A waiter led them to a table by a large window that showed the stars outside. Jake had never eaten anywhere so fancy. There were 3 forks at his place setting, and he had no idea which one to use first. Do not worry, Zara said softly. Just follow what I do. They looked at the menu together. Jake could not pronounce most of the food names, so Zara helped him order. She chose things she thought he would like and told him about each dish. On my world, we eat many things that would seem strange to humans, Zara said. But I think you will like this. Your world? Jake asked. What is it like? Zara's eyes became distant. It is beautiful, but sometimes lonely. There are rules about everything. What to wear, what to say, who to talk to. I wanted to see other places and meet new people. Is that why you are here? Jake asked. Yes, Zara said. I wanted to learn about different cultures, especially human culture. Humans are new to the galaxy, but you have done amazing things. Their food arrived, and Jake was surprised at how good everything tasted. Zara asked him many questions about Earth. She wanted to know about human music, art, and stories. Jake told her about movies and books and the games he used to play as a child. Humans seem to have very big imaginations, Zara said. My people are more practical. What are your people like? Jake asked. Before Zara could answer, the restaurant's main door burst open. 6 tall aliens in armor walked in, carrying weapons. Their armor was blue and silver, and they moved like soldiers. The lead soldier was a woman with the same blue skin as Zara, but she looked angry and worried. She scanned the restaurant until her eyes found Zara. Princess, the soldier called out. You must come with us now. Jake nearly fell out of his chair. Princess? Zara closed her eyes and sighed. Jake, I can explain. The soldier woman walked over to their table. Your Highness, your father is very worried. You disappeared from the diplomatic suite without telling anyone where you were going. I am fine, Kess, Zara said. I am having dinner with a friend. More soldiers entered the restaurant. Jake noticed they all had their hands on their weapons. Other customers began to look nervous. A friend? Kess looked at Jake like he was a dangerous criminal. Who is this human? This is Jake Morrison, Zara said. He is a cargo pilot. Suddenly, more people rushed into the restaurant. These new arrivals wore different uniforms and pointed strange devices at Jake. Jake Morrison, one of them said, you are under arrest for attempting to seduce a member of the Zephyrian royal family. What? Jake stood up so fast his chair fell over. I did not know she was a princess. We are just having dinner. That is what they all say, the agent said. Then station security arrived. A human woman in a uniform pushed through the crowd. She had short brown hair and looked very tired. What is going on here? She demanded. I am Commander Beth Rodriguez, station security. Why are there armed aliens in my restaurant? This human is trying to kidnap our princess, Kess said. I am not kidnapping anyone, Jake shouted. We are on a date. A date? Commander Rodriguez looked confused. With a princess? I did not know she was a princess. More security officers arrived. Now there were 3 different groups of armed people in the restaurant, all pointing weapons at each other. The other customers had run away or were hiding under tables. Zara stood up and spoke in a loud, clear voice. Everyone stop! Jake did. Nothing wrong. I asked him to dinner. He does not know anything about Zephyrian politics. Your Highness, Kess said, your father ordered us to bring you home immediately. There have been threats against your life. What threats? Zara asked. Before Kess could answer, someone started shooting. Jake grabbed Zara's hand and pulled her toward the kitchen. Energy bolts flew over their heads and burned holes in the wall. This way! Zara shouted. They ran through the kitchen as cooks and servers dove for cover. Jake had no idea what was happening, but he knew they needed to get away from all the shooting. Behind the kitchen was a service area with small vehicles used to move supplies around the station. Zara jumped on one of the vehicles and started it up. Get on! She yelled. Jake jumped on behind her just as soldiers ran into the service area. Zara drove the vehicle into a tunnel that led deeper into the station. Where are we going? Jake asked as they raced through dark tunnels. To your ship, Zara said. We need to get away from here. But why? What did I do wrong? You did nothing. Wrong, Zara said. But my people think you are trying to hurt me or use me for political reasons, and your people probably think you are causing a diplomatic problem. They drove through maintenance tunnels and service areas that Jake had never seen before. Zara seemed to know exactly where she was going. How do you know your way around? Jake asked. I studied the station plans before I came here, Zara said. I always have an escape plan. They reached the docking area where Jake's ship was parked. But as they got closer, Jake saw that something was wrong. There were people near his ship and lights were flashing. Oh no, Jake said. Someone is already there. As they got closer, Jake saw Lyra standing next to his ship. She was talking to a group of people in different uniforms. These new people had pointed ears like Lyra, but they looked angry. Lyra saw Jake and Zara approaching and waved at them to hurry. Jake, she called, we have a problem. What kind of problem? Jake asked as he and Zara got off the service vehicle. The kind where we all need to leave right now, Lyra said. I may have borrowed something that these people want back. Borrowed? One of the elf-like aliens said. You stole a priceless artifact from our museum. Jake looked at Lyra, then at Zara, then at all the angry aliens surrounding his ship. More, security people were running toward them from across the docking bay. So let me understand this, Jake said. You are a princess, and you are a thief? It is more complicated than that, both women said at the same time. Jake looked at his small cargo ship. It was not built for fighting or running from the law, but it was all he had. Everyone who wants to live through the next 5 minutes, get on my ship right now, Jake said. Sometimes the best decision was the one that got you moving before you had time to think about how stupid it was. Jake ran up the ramp to his ship with Zara and Lyra right behind him. Energy bolts flew past their heads as the angry aliens started shooting. Jake slammed his hand on the button to close the ramp and ran to the pilot's seat. "Everyone hold on!" he shouted. The Lucky Strike lifted off just as more security ships arrived. Jake pushed the engines as hard as they would go. The old ship groaned and shook, but it moved fast enough to avoid the weapons fire. "Where are we going?" Zara asked. "Away from here," Jake said. "I will figure out the rest later." As they flew away from Nexus Station, Jake activated the hyperspace drive. The stars turned into long lines of light, and they jumped to a different part of the galaxy. Only when they were safely in hyperspace did Jake turn around to look at his passengers. Zara sat in one of the cargo seats, still wearing her beautiful dress but looking worried. Lyra stood near the back of the ship, holding a small metal object that glowed with strange light. "Okay," Jake said. "Someone needs to explain what just happened." "I can start," Zara said. She took a deep breath. "My name is Princess Zara Thul of the Zephyrian Empire. I came to Nexus Station because my father wants me to marry someone I do not love. I ran away to see the galaxy before I have to go back. And do my duty." Jake stared at her. "You are really a princess?" "Yes. And now my people think you kidnapped me. They probably think you are working for our enemies." Jake turned to Lyra. "And you?" Lyra held up the glowing object. "I took this from an Altarian museum, but I had good reasons." "What is it?" Jake asked. "Something very old and very dangerous," Lyra said. "The Altarians were not keeping it safe. Bad people were trying to steal it to use as a weapon. So you stole it first?" Jake asked. "Yes, but now the Altarians think I am working for these bad people, and they probably think you are helping me." Jake sat down hard in his pilot chair. "So let me understand this. The Zephyrians think I kidnapped their princess. The Altarians think I helped steal their artifact. What do my own people think?" "Probably that you are causing trouble with two important alien governments," Zara said softly. "Humans are new to the galaxy. Your leaders do not want to make enemies." Jake put his head in his hands. "Yesterday I was just a cargo pilot trying to make enough money to eat. Now I am wanted by 3 different governments." "I am sorry, Jake," Zara said. "I should have told you who I was. And I should have told you about the artifact," Lyra added. "But I needed somewhere to hide it, and your ship was perfect." Jake looked up at both of them. They looked sad and worried. Despite everything, he found that he was not really angry with them. They had both been trying to do what they thought was right. "Where are we going?" Lyra asked. "Haven's Rest," Jake said. "It is an independent world. No government controls it. We can hide there while we figure out what to do next." The flight to Haven's Rest took 6 hours. Jake used the time to learn more about his passengers. Zara told him about life as a princess, how she had to follow rules about everything and never got to make her own choices. Lyra explained that she had been hunting dangerous artifacts for years, trying to keep them away from bad people. "Why do you do it?" Jake asked Lyra. "My people have a saying," Lyra said. "The past is not dead if it can still hurt the future. These old weapons could destroy entire star systems if the wrong people get them." "And what about you?" Jake asked Zara. "Why did you run away?" "Because I wanted to live my own life for once," Zara said, "even if it was just for a few days." Haven's Rest was a strange world. It was covered with floating cities that moved slowly through the clouds. People from all over the galaxy came here to trade, hide, or start new lives. The cities were held up by anti-gravity technology that nobody really understood anymore. Jake landed his ship on one of the smaller floating cities. As they walked through the streets, he noticed that nobody paid much attention to them. Here, a human walking with a princess and an elf was not unusual. They found a small hotel where they could rent rooms and try to plan their next move. Jake was starting to relax when Lyra grabbed his arm. "We need to leave," she said. "Right now." "Why?" Jake asked. Lyra pointed across the street. A woman with short red hair and expensive armor was walking toward them. Behind her was another woman with metal parts attached to her body like a cyborg. "Bounty hunters," Lyra said. "The red-haired one is Maya Cross. She is very good at her job." Maya Cross saw them and smiled. It was not a friendly smile. She spoke into a small device, and suddenly more people appeared from different directions. They were surrounded. "Jake Morrison," Maya called out. You are coming with us. The Zephyrian Empire is paying very well for your return. I did not do anything wrong, Jake shouted back. That is not my problem, Maya said. I just deliver packages. The cyborg woman with Maya raised her arm, and Jake saw that it had a weapon built into it. Should I stun them all, Maya? Just the human, Maya said. We need him alive. Jake looked around. There were too many bounty hunters, and they had nowhere to run. But then Zara stepped forward. I am Princess Zarathul, she said in a loud, clear voice. This human is under my protection. Maya laughed. Nice try, blue girl. But princesses do not hang around with cargo pilots. Zara reached into her bag and pulled out something that looked like a crystal badge. It glowed with the same light as her face markings. When Maya saw it, her smile disappeared. That is a real royal seal, the cyborg woman said quietly. Yes, it is, Zara said, and I'm ordering you to leave us alone. But the bounty, Maya said. Will not be paid if you harm a member of the royal family, Zara said. Do you want to explain to the Zephyrian Emperor why you attacked his daughter? Maya looked confused and angry. She had never dealt with a situation like this before. While she was trying to decide what to do, Lyra pulled out the artifact. Everyone might want to step back, Lyra said. The artifact began to glow brighter and brighter. Strange energy crackled around it. Then suddenly all the lights in the city went out. The anti-gravity systems that kept the city floating made strange noises and started to fail. What did you do? Jake asked. Bought us some time, Lyra said. But we need to get back to your ship before the city falls out of the sky. They ran through the dark streets as the floating city shook and tilted. Behind them, Maya Cross was shouting orders at her team, but their weapons and equipment had stopped working. Jake, Zara, and Lyra reached the docking bay just as the backup power came on. Jake's ship was old enough that the artifact's energy. Pulse had not hurt it much. They took off just as the city's systems came back online. As they flew away from Haven's Rest, Jake realized that their situation had gotten much worse. Now they had made enemies of the bounty hunters too, and Lyra's artifact was clearly more dangerous than she had told them. We cannot keep running forever, Jake said. You are right, Zara said. We need to find out who is really behind all this. Someone wanted that artifact badly enough to frame Lyra for stealing it. And someone told the bounty hunters where to find us. You think this is all connected? Jake asked. I think we are being used, Zara said. And I do not like being used. Jake looked at his two passengers. A princess and a thief. A few days ago, he would have said they had nothing in common. But now he realized they were both trying to do the right thing in a galaxy that made it very hard to know what the right thing was. So, what do we do? Jake asked. We find out who is really pulling the strings, Lyra said, and then we make them stop. Jake smiled for the first time since the restaurant. I like that plan, but first we need help from someone who knows more about this than we do. Who? Zara asked. A friend of mine, Jake said. Dr. Elena Vasquez. She studies old alien technology. If anyone can tell us what that artifact really does, it is her. As the Lucky Strike jumped back into hyperspace, Jake realized that he was no longer just running away. Now he was fighting back. It felt good, even if he had no idea what he was fighting against. Dr. Elena Vasquez lived on a research station called Deep Thought. It floated in empty space between star systems, far from any government or military base. Scientists from many different worlds came here to study things that were too dangerous, to research on populated planets. Jake had met Elena 2 years ago when he delivered some ancient artifacts to her lab. She was a small woman, with gray hair and bright eyes, who knew more about old alien technology than anyone else in the galaxy. Jake Morrison, Elena said when she opened her lab door. I heard you were dead. Not yet, Jake said. But I might be soon if you do not help us. Elena looked at Zara and Lyra. Her eyes stopped on the artifact that Lyra was carrying. Where did you get that? Elena asked quietly. It is a long story, Lyra said. Come inside, Elena said, and do not touch anything. Elena's lab was full of strange objects from dead civilizations. Some glowed with their own light, others made soft humming sounds. Jake always felt nervous in here, like he was surrounded by sleeping monsters. Elena examined the artifact with special tools, while Lyra, Zara, and Jake told her what had happened. When they finished their story, Elena was quiet for a long time. "This is worse than I thought," Elena finally said. "This artifact is part of a set of 3. They were made by a civilization that died out 50,000 years ago. When all 3 are brought together, they can control hyperspace itself." "What does that mean?" Jake asked. "It means whoever has all 3 artifacts can stop ships from using hyperspace," Elena said. "They could trap entire star systems. No trade, no communication, no travel. It would be like going back to the Dark Ages." Zara looked worried. "Who would want such power?" "Someone who wants to control the galaxy," Elena said. "But there is more. The artifacts have been appearing on the black market over the past year. Someone has been buying them through secret agents." "The hegemony," Lyra said suddenly. "What is the hegemony?" Jake asked. "A group of people who think the galaxy needs one strong ruler," Elena said. "They believe that all the different governments cause too much chaos. Their leader is Admiral Vera Kane." Jake had heard of Admiral Kane. She used to be in the human military, but she had been thrown out for trying to start a war with an alien government. "Kane thinks humans should rule the galaxy," Elena continued. "But she knows that will never happen as long as humans work with other species instead of conquering them. So she wants to use the artifacts to cut off the other governments from each other," Zara said. "Then she could attack them one by one." "Exactly," Elena said. "But she needed to get the artifacts without anyone knowing she was behind it. So she used the Altarian smuggling networks and then framed people like Lyra when they got too close to the truth." Jake felt angry. "So this whole thing was a setup? They wanted Lyra to steal the artifact so they could blame her later?" "And they probably wanted to use me too," Zara said. "If they could make it look like the Zephyrian princess was working with human criminals, it would cause problems between our governments, which would make it easier for Kane to attack both your peoples." "Later," Elena said. Suddenly, alarms started ringing throughout the station. Red lights flashed and a voice spoke over the communication system. "All personnel evacuate immediately. Hostile ships approaching. This is not a drill." Elena ran to her computers. 3 ships just came out of hyperspace. They are not responding to our signals." "Can you see who they are?" Jake asked. Elena typed commands into her computer. The main screen showed 3 black warships moving toward the station. "Hegemony ships," Elena said. "They found us." "How?" Lyra asked. "The artifact," Elena said. "It sends out a signal that they can track. I should have realized." More alarms started ringing. Jake could hear explosions somewhere else on the station. "We need to get to my ship," Jake said. "Wait," Elena said. She grabbed several devices from her lab. "Take these. They might help you fight the artifact's power." As they ran through the station corridors, Jake saw other scientists and workers running toward escape pods. Some of them were hurt. The hegemony ships were not just here to capture the artifact. They were here to destroy anyone who knew about their plan. They reached the docking bay where Jake's ship was parked, but they were not alone. Maya Cross was there, along with her cyborg partner Nova and several other people Jake did not recognize. Well, Maya said. "Look who showed up." Jake expected another fight, but Maya lowered her weapon. "We need to talk," Maya said. "About what?" Jake asked. "About the fact that the hegemony just tried to kill us all," Nova said. Her voice sounded strange, like it was coming from a machine. "They do not want any witnesses." "You were working for them?" Zara asked. "We thought we were working for the Zephyrian government," Maya said. "But the money was coming from the hegemony. They wanted us to capture you and bring you to them." "Why are you telling us this?" Jake asked. "Because they just tried to blow up our ship," Nova said. "We barely escaped. That is not how you treat people who work for you." Another explosion shook the station. Through the docking bay windows, Jake could see one of the research labs on fire. "They are destroying everything," Elena said. "All the research, all the knowledge, thousands of years of history." "And they have my friend," Zara said suddenly. "What friend?" Jake asked. "Kess. Captain Kessiandra. She was captured while looking for me. If the hegemony has her, they will use her to force my father to give them what they want." Jake looked around at all the people with him. Elena, who knew more about ancient technology than anyone. Lyra, who could use the artifacts. Zara, who was a princess and a warrior. Maya and Nova, who were skilled fighters, and himself, just a cargo pilot who was very good at getting into trouble. "You know what?" Jake said. "I am tired of running." "What do you mean?" Lyra asked. "I mean, they want to fight. Let us give them one," Jake said. "But first, we need to save your friend and stop them from getting the other artifacts." "That is suicide," Maya said. "They have warships. We have one old cargo ship." "We have more than that," Jake said. "We have something they do not expect." "What?" Elena asked. "A human who is too stupid to know when he is beaten," Jake said with a smile. Nova's mechanical parts made clicking sounds. Jake realized she was laughing. "I like this plan," Nova said. "Maya, what do you think?" Maya looked at Jake for a long moment. "You know, I have never liked Admiral Kane anyway. She gives humans a bad name." "So you will help us?" Zara asked. "We will help you," Maya said. "But I want to know the real plan." Jake looked at the artifact in Lyra's hands. Then he looked at the devices Elena had given them. An idea was forming in his mind. It was a crazy idea, but it might work. "Elena, can you track where the other artifacts are?" Jake asked. "Yes, but they are on Kane's flagship. It is surrounded by her entire fleet." "Good," Jake said. "That means they are all in one place." "Jake," Zara said slowly, "what are you thinking?" "I am thinking that if these artifacts are so powerful, maybe we should use them," Jake said. "Not to control the galaxy, but to stop the people who want to." Lyra smiled. It was the first time Jake had seen her look truly happy. "You want to steal the other artifacts from the most dangerous woman in the galaxy?" Lyra said. "Yes," Jake said. "Well, she is surrounded by warships, yes. And then use all three artifacts together, even though we do not really know what they will do." "That is the plan." "I love it," Lyra said. Sometimes the best plans were the ones that sounded completely impossible, because those were the ones that nobody would expect. The Hegemony flagship Iron Doctrine was the biggest warship Jake had ever seen. It floated in an asteroid field like a giant metal mountain, surrounded by smaller ships. This was where Admiral Kane had built her secret base, hidden among the floating rocks where the ancient civilization had made their last stand 50,000 years ago. Jake's small group had spent 2 days planning their attack. They had one old cargo ship, 2 bounty hunters, a princess, an elf thief, and a scientist, against a fleet of warships and hundreds of soldiers. "This is still suicide," Maya said as they flew closer to the asteroid field. "Probably," Jake agreed, "but at least it will be interesting." Their plan was simple, which made it either brilliant or completely stupid. They would split up into 3 teams. Jake and Zara would go to the command center to stop Admiral Kane and broadcast proof of her crimes to the galaxy. Lyra and Nova would find the other artifacts and bring them together. Maya and Elena would rescue Captain Kess and any other prisoners. "Remember," Elena said over their communication system, "when all 3 artifacts come together, they will create a massive energy field. Get as far away as possible when that happens." "What will the energy field do?" Jake asked. "I have no idea," Elena said. "That is why you need to get away from it." Jake guided his ship through the asteroid field. The rocks were huge, some as big as cities. Strange metal structures built by the dead civilization still clung to some of them, glowing with faint light. "There," Zara pointed. "Docking Bay 7. It is less guarded than the others." Jake landed his ship in the small docking bay. Immediately, alarms started ringing. Their surprise attack had lasted about 10 seconds. "So much for the sneaky approach," Jake said. They ran from the ship as Hegemony soldiers came rushing toward them. Maya and Nova went left toward the prison levels. Lyra went right toward the artifact storage. Jake and Zara headed straight ahead, toward the command center. Jake had never been in a real battle before. Energy bolts flew past his head as he and Zara ran through the ship's corridors. Zara moved like a trained warrior, shooting back at their enemies with a weapon she had taken from one of the guards. "Where did you learn to fight like that?" Jake asked. "Princess lessons," Zara said, ducking behind a corner as more soldiers appeared. "My father thought I should know how to defend myself." They fought their way through 3 levels of the massive ship. Jake was not a soldier, but he was stubborn, and sometimes being stubborn was just as good as being trained. Finally, they reached the command center. Admiral Kane stood in the middle of the room, surrounded by control panels and screens. She was a tall woman with gray hair and cold eyes. When she saw Jake and Zara, she smiled. "Jake Morrison," she said. "The cargo pilot who started a war." "I did not start anything," Jake said. "You did." "Did I?" Kane asked. "I just wanted to bring order to the galaxy. Humans should be leading the other species, not working with them as equals." "Why?" Zara asked. "What makes humans better than anyone else?" "Because we are willing to do what needs to be done," Kane said. "Other species are too soft, too concerned with rules and honor. Humans are practical." "Not all humans," Jake said. "Just you." Kane pressed a button on her control panel. Screens around the room showed the battle happening throughout the ship. Jake could see Maya and Nova fighting their way through the prison levels. He could see Lyra running through storage areas looking for the artifacts. "Your friends will not succeed," Kane said. "I have too many soldiers." "Maybe," Jake said, "but they will try. That is what friends do." Kane looked confused. "Friends? You barely know these people." "I know enough," Jake said. "I know they are good people trying to do the right thing. That is more than I can say about you." While Kane was talking, Zara moved quietly around the edge of the room. Jake kept talking to distract Kane from what Zara was doing. "You know what I learned from traveling the galaxy?" Jake said. "Every species has something to offer. The Zephyrians are honorable. The Altarians are wise. Humans are stubborn. Together we are stronger than any of us alone." "That is naive," Kane said. "The galaxy respects only strength." "No," Jake said. "The galaxy respects people who help each other." Kane raised her weapon to shoot Jake, but Zara was behind her now. The princess hit Kane with a move that Jake had only seen in movies. Kane fell to the floor, unconscious. "Is she dead?" Jake asked. "No," Zara said, "but she will have a very bad headache when she wakes up." Jake ran to the communication controls. "Elena, can you hear me?" Yes. Elena's voice came through the speakers. "Lyra found the artifacts. She is bringing them together now." "Maya, what? About you?" "We found Kess," Maya said, "and about 50 other prisoners. We are bringing them to the escape pods now." "Good," Jake said. He started working on the communication system. "I am going to broadcast everything we know about Kane's plan to every government in the galaxy." As Jake worked, Zara watched the screens. "Jake, look at this." On one screen, Lyra was in a large storage room. She had placed all 3 artifacts on a table. They were glowing brighter and brighter, and energy was starting to spark between them. "Lyra," Jake called over the communication system. "Get out of there now." "I am trying," Lyra said, "but the door is locked. The energy is affecting the ship's systems. Elena, can you help her?" "I am working on it," Elena said, "but the energy field is growing stronger. It is going to do something big very soon." Jake finished programming the communication system. Now every government in 3-star systems would know about Kane's plan. They would also know that Jake, Zara, and Lyra were innocent. "We need to get to Lyra," Jake said. He and Zara ran through the ship toward the storage area. Around them, the walls started to glow with strange light. The energy from the artifacts was spreading throughout the entire ship. They found Lyra trapped in the storage room. The door had melted shut from the energy. Through the window, they could see her standing next to the 3 artifacts. The artifacts were floating in the air now, spinning around each other faster and faster. "Stand back," Zara said. She pulled out a small device and placed it on the door. It exploded, blowing the door open. "Lyra!" Jake called. "Come on!" But Lyra shook her head. "I cannot leave them. If I let go of the controls, the energy will destroy everything for light years around." "Then what do we do?" Jake asked. Lyra smiled at him through the window. "You do what humans do best. You make the crazy choice that somehow works out." "What crazy choice?" Jake asked. "Destroy them," Lyra said. "Do not try to control the power. Destroy it completely." Jake understood. Instead of trying to use the artifact's power, they would break them. It was the kind of wasteful, impractical decision that would horrify every other species in the galaxy. It was perfectly human. "How?" Jake asked. "Overload them," Lyra said. "Make them use all their power at once. It will destroy the artifacts and disable every ship in the area, but it will not hurt anyone. Jake looked at Zara. What do you think? I think you are all insane, Zara said. But I also think it will work. Jake ran to the control panel outside the storage room. He did not really understand how the artifacts worked. But he understood. Machines. And all machines could be broken if you pushed them too hard. He started pressing buttons and turning dials, feeding more and more power into the system. The artifacts spun faster and faster. The light became so bright it hurt to look at. Jake! Elena's voice came over the communication system. Get away from there now! The energy is reaching critical levels! Jake, Zara, and Lyra ran as fast as they could. Behind them, the storage room filled with white light. Then everything went silent. When Jake woke up, he was lying on the floor of a corridor. Zara was next to him, and Lyra was sitting against the wall, looking tired but alive. Did it work? Jake asked. Look, Lyra pointed out a window. Outside, the Iron Doctrine was dark and powerless. So were all the other ships in Admiral Kane's fleet. They floated helplessly among the asteroids. All the ship's systems are dead. Elena's voice came through Jake's small personal communicator. But everyone is alive. We are sending rescue ships. What about the artifacts? Jake asked. Gone, Lyra said. Completely destroyed. The galaxy is safe from that particular ancient weapon. Jake stood up and helped Zara to her feet. Through the ship's windows, he could see rescue ships arriving from all three governments. Human ships, Zephyrian ships, and Altarian ships working together to help the people on the disabled vessels. So what happens now? Jake asked. Now you are heroes, Zara said. All three governments will want to thank you. What about us? Jake asked quietly. You are a princess. You have to go back to your duties. And Lyra, you probably want to go back to your own life. Zara and Lyra looked at each other, then at Jake. Actually, Zara said, my father sent me a message. He was so impressed with how I handled this crisis that he is giving me a new job. I am going to be the Zephyrian ambassador to the independent worlds. That sounds like an important job, Jake said. It is. And I will need a ship and crew to travel to different planets, Zara said. I was thinking of hiring a good cargo pilot. Jake looked at Lyra. What about you? Well, Lyra said, someone needs to make sure that other dangerous artifacts do not fall into the wrong hands. It seems like the kind of job that would require a lot of travel. Jake smiled. A few days ago, he had been a lonely cargo pilot with no